Hello everyone. I come today just to show you a technique that I'm doing called Doodling Designs. And I hope you enjoy it. Very easy technique. And what I did is I took the Inspiring Iris stamp set from Stampin' Up. I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator. And I have a website, which is www.ritaholmes.stampinup.net. I have a YouTube channel, Stamp Crazy by Rita Holmes. I would love for you to go to it and to subscribe. Also share my videos if you would. I'm doing technique videos every week. And just hoping to show some different things you can do with your stamping. I also have a Facebook group page called Stamp Crazy VIP. And there I show this technique live every Tuesday morning, and after I do that I have a PDF that I put in the files that shows you the supplies I use for the technique and how I did it, the supplies for the card, and how I made the card that you're seeing with this. These are free to you in the files of my Facebook page, so you can hop on over there, join that, and get all the techniques that I've done so far. They're all listed there, and that would be great. I would so enjoy that. Also, I have my May host code. If you do not have a demonstrator and wish to order from Stampin' Up, I'd love for you to do that through my website, which is theritaholmes.stampinup.net, and I would just love to be your demonstrator and help you in any way I can. Any of the techniques that you see, if you need help with any of those, you can always contact me and I would be happy to help you with those. So today we're going to do a technique called Doodling Techniques. And I use the Inspiring Iris, like I said, which is actually a two-step stamping stamp set. But I only used the one stamp, the images, and then I doodled around them just to give them a little bit of life and not make them look so uniform. And I'm going to show you how I did that today. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. All of the dimensions for my paper are on my PDF that you can get over at my Facebook group. So I'm not going to be going through all of that right now. This is a very simple card. Your basic mats are here. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to bring in my white, and I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of paper because I'm going to be making a little bit of a mess. So anyway, I'm going to bring in my paper. I'm going to bring in my piece of white cardstock. I'm going to bring in my Pear Pizzazz ink pad, and I'm going to stamp my leaves on my card. Now what I did with mine is I started in the center, and then just did one on either side of that. So there is my leaves all stamped. We'll put this stamp pad away for a second. We'll be using it again. And then I'm going to take my Highland Heather stamp pad, and we're going to stamp the iris buds, or flowers I should say. So I'm going to ink those up. Line them up, and I know they look really dark, but as the ink dries they will lighten up. So there you go. I'm going to let those dry for just a second before I start the doodling part on here, and while I'm doing that I'm going to show you some other cards that I made doing the doodling. These two that I'm bringing in now was done with the Inspiring Iris, and it's the carnation. And as you can see, I doodled around just to make it look like little carnation petals. So here's one of the cards I did in the portrait look, and then here's one I did in the horizontal. And both of them I just used the carnation, used the same papers, same ribbons, Same sayings, all of it was out of Inspiring Iris. The next card I did is such a fun card. It's out of our Painted Harvest set. And I did it's actually a sunflower that it's supposed to be. And I just did it in the Calypso Coral and the Flirty Flamingo. Doodled around all the petals, doodled around the center of the flower, added the leaves, doodled around those. This little dot stamp is actually in the set of the Painted Harvest, and then I doodled around the outside. You could add tendrils in here or anything to add more doodling to your card. The smile came out of the set Daisy Lane. But anyway, that's just another set. But if you can use any stamp that doesn't have a black outline to it to where you can doodle that, is great. I use the Micron pens, and you can get these in different sizes. There's an 01 and 03. There's actually an 05, 08. I use the 03. I tend to like that one really well. So I'm going to take that and I'm just going to show you how I doodled on my card. Now when you doodle, you do not want everything to look uniform. That's the fun thing about doodling. You can just add marks and just make it come to life and be fun. So I am going to do that right now. In fact, I'm going to take this sheet of, well, paper away for a second, just so I can see a little bit better. And I'm just going to start doodling around my petals of my flowers. And as you can see, there's nothing uniform. I'm just trying to follow like the leaves and petals in their shape and just add some black wispy looking lines at the moment. And then I'll show you what we'll do when we go back and once we get all these done. But you don't have to be really careful in that. And if you're really creative, you can do a lot of different doodling on your cards, and it just, to me, makes them look happy. Doodling is a lot of fun. And you don't have to try to get your flowers to all look alike. Flowers are not alike. You go out into your garden and that your flower petals are not all shaped exactly the same. They crease in different areas. They have little tears in them. Just all kinds of little stuff. So, and really, try not to concentrate so hard on what you're doing, because when you do that, you try to be so much more uniform. And this is just something to, I say relax you, because you're just adding little marks. Now, once I get all of that done, I can go back and put some little dots up around the flowers, in the flowers, put little lines. You know, you can just do so much with your doodling. And make each flower just a little bit different, you know, and how you're doodling it. You can get really caught up in doing this, but I'm trying to do it quickly just because I want to make a card for you to see it. I want to do a finished card. And on the leaves, you know, there's not a lot of room, but you can doodle a little bit and add some dots, add some extra lines in there to look like veins. And just make you some little marks and make it look happy. helps define the card in itself. Okay, there's my doodling done. Now, I could leave it as a white card, put my saying on it, and be done with it. But I liked the look of putting in like some sky and some ground just to make it look like a softer card. And that's what I'm going to do for you real quick, is show you how I did that. I used these brushes that I got from Amazon. They are actually bristle brushes. They're not foam. So they're really, really nice to use. I got them from Amazon. They're actually, if you look them up, they're called Crafting Ink Blending Brush Set. It's 5 pieces and it sells for $11.98 on Amazon for the 5 of them. One thing about them, you never wash them. I just use them making another video. There's my paper from it. So you don't wash, and as you can see, you don't really see any ink in these brushes, because that's all you do is you just clean your brushes till there's no ink left in them, and don't wash them. I think they would take forever to dry. But anyway, I'm going to bring in my balmy blue, and I'm going to do my sky. So I'm just going to pounce kind of in the balmy blue, take it off of my paper, and then just rub onto my card. You're not going to hurt your ink. Your ink is dry, and this ink, as you're putting it on, it dries instantly. So it doesn't hurt the images you already have on there. And if you want to darken it, just always make sure that you start off of your card, because if you don't, you will get a brush mark. I always do circular motions instead of back and forth. It looks more uniform that way. I'm going to get in under these little flowers a little bit. There's my sky. So I'm just going to make sure I got my blue out of there pretty much. I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to bring back my Pear Pizzazz, which is the color that I just did my leaves in down here. We're going to bring that back in and do a little bit of sky. I mean grass, not sky. I think I want to see a green sky. There we go. And you don't have to add much. You know, if you want your green darker, you can, but I just wanted it to kind of blend in with my leaves. So there you go. Easy peasy with these little brushes. Love them. And you just clean it out and go on. But there's 5 different sizes that come in here. This is like the largest one. Then there's I think it's the largest one. But anyway, this is like the next to the smallest. So if you have little small areas you want to get into, big areas if you're doing like, you know, a big, like skies and like a ocean scene. Or if you're doing a bigger card. So therefore, now we're done with this piece of paper. We have this. I'm going to stamp my saying, which also came out of the Inspiring Iris set, right at the top. And it says, sending hugs, prayers, and lots of love, which is a good sentiment for what we're all going through right now. Now I'm going to take our linen thread, and as you see, I just left it on the spool. That's how I use it. I'm going to place my center of it, turn it over, and I'm just going to put a piece of tape on there. And then I'm going to take and wrap it around my card 3 times. Put another piece of tape to hold all that down. I use tape instead of the snail because of the thread being so thin. Let me cut this off real quick. And there we basically have the card front done, all except the bow. I did make my bow already, which I just took my twine and did a couple layers of it so my bow would look more frilly. I used my pop dots, and I'm always a double pop dot person. I thought, yeah, there's 2 on there. So I've got my 2 pop dots. I make sure they're not going to show. Kind of press them up against my cording there, and I just put that where I had all 3 of those pieces of linen come together, and there's my bow on my card. Now all I have to do is mount my card. So what I did was I took a piece of Pear Pizzazz, cut it as a mat, used my Tombow glue, and glued that onto my mat. I like to use Tombow glue. It gives me just a little bit more of wiggle room if I need it. You want to really press that down where you have your cording in there. Then I'm going to take a card base that I already have scored, and I'm going to fold that in half, and I'm going to really flatten that. I use a Pampered Chef pot scrubber instead of a bone folder. I've just gotten used to those, and I love them. I like the way they feel and stuff, so that's what I use. I'm going to put pop dot or dimensionals on the back of my card base, and I only use about 6. That's all. That's basically all you need. You want to hold up your corners, and you want to hold up your middle a little bit, and I've seen people use like 15 or so of them at a time, and it's like, you know, you don't have to do that. They are cheap if you think about how many comes in a pack and the price, but we don't have to be silly. Make sure your card opens at the bottom. Put your card front up right, and then just add that to your card front. And there you go, you have a card. So try some doodling with your cards. It just is kind of relaxing and get you out of the mode of having to stamp. What I like about that, when using the stamps from two-step stamping, you don't have to be so precise trying to get that stamp layered over that sometimes if you just want to feel free. But there's my card. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope you come back, and please, if you're watching this video, please share it, and that so I can, I'd like to get my name out there as doing techniques and different things like that, because I am just now starting with all of this, and I'd appreciate all the help I can get from you guys. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.